So, superpowers is not simply powerful, but it should be dominant. Why it should be dominant? Because to be considered as a global superpowers, a nation should be dominant in economic, military, social, and also cultural. But although an official classification for a nation to be considered as a global superpowers is actually doesn't exist. But mostly people nowadays will consider U.S. as a global superpowers countries, and even though China is start to chasing them and start to conquer the economic field. But back again to the U.S. Why can U.S. Considered as a global superpowers countries? Well, actually they already have a big power on military field and entertainment, alliance, and also morality.
China's economy is growing at an impressive rate, but it is not only about the size of economy that matters, it is also about equality. According to the World Bank, GDP per capita in US in 2013 was 53,000 US dollars. Meanwhile, in China, it was just 6,800 US dollars. In other hands, China's dramatic economic growth is finding its way into the pockets of Chinese consumers, which most of the product is coming from the massive state-owned enterprises rather than the private industry. And China's headline growth may be higher than US, but it is the US economy that's allowing its citizens to grow along with it. And crucially, America's economy remains to be the bedrock of all global financial system, and over 80% of all financial transactions worldwide are conducted in dollars, as well as the 87% of foreign currency market transactions. So, as long as the world remains to place the faith of Americans' currency and overall economic stability, believe it or not, America's remains to be the one to be. So this is one of the factors why US is still considered as the most superpower country in the world.
So Alice Miller said that to be a superpower, a country has to be advanced in the capacity to project dominating power and also can influence other people or other countries in the world. So we can say that US has to be advanced in technology and military, but the US has proved it with the forms of weapons and also advanced in technology. So in general, US has 1.4 million of soldiers, 14 aircraft carriers, more than 8,000 of tanks, and also more than 3,000 of jet fighter. So in this statistic, we know that other country has to think twice to attack US. So there's the part of explanation of US military.
Political power comes in many dimensions. For US, foreign aid is an effective way to build its political clout globally. In 2013, US doled out 32.7 billion US dollar in financial assistance, while UK is only around 19 billion US dollar. Turns out that money buys political cooperation from countries in need. But in order to have political cooperation abroad, you must first have stability at home. As we know, US has the oldest national working constitution in the world, as well as the institution and rule of law to accompany it. While it's far from perfect, the governing document was created by America's founding father has evolved with its people. The number show the enduring attraction of this system. And 45 million people living in the US today were born in a foreign country, and it's 4 times higher than the next highest country. For people around the world, America reminds to us that the ideal place to start a new life. So this is one of the reasons why US still considered as a superpower country in terms of political sector. Thank you.
9 largest technology companies in the world, 8 are based in the US. For decades, America has been worried about energy dependency, yet today, America is the #1 producer of oil and natural gas in the world, in large part due to the development of hydraulic fracturing as a product of public research and private energy. America America's research universities and scientific institutions are the best in the class. This is the thing that allowing its nation to be focused on its ingenuity. America also spend money to keep its comparative advantage intact and take almost 30% of all money's research and development, where the money or dollars are spent in the US. This is the reason why US still become the superpower country in innovation perspective. In 2012, American will spend about $370 million in pet costumes. Earlier that year, the Fury 325 opened up in North Carolina, and they claiming the titles of highest coaster in the world until 2016, when the next Giga Coasters is scheduled to be open in Florida, Orlando. Well, based on the recent Charities Aid Foundation survey, America will rank as the first internationally when it comes to helping strangers.
And these stats may seem disconnected, but together the fact that they pointed it out that Americans still continue to enjoy its quality of life, which is unmatched with the rest of the world. And when you combine this with America's strength across the board in economics, military, political influence, and even innovations, which is no wonder that US still continues to enjoy its privileged position in the world. Superpower indeed.
So to conclude this video, we already heard the explanation of the reason why US will become a superpower country in terms of economy, military, political influence, innovation, and also culture or lifestyle. In order to become a superpower country, you should have a growing and impressive rate in the factor that I already mentioned before. And if you're trying to compare to the other country that has potential to become a superpower country, for today's era, US is still on top of the list. Alright, so let's say China. If you're trying to compare between China and US, you have to know first the condition and the difference between both countries. So what is exactly the difference and how is it the condition?
So, China has the lacks of kind of global support that received by the US after the World War II, which provided tacit agreement for the US to become the world anchor of the economic stability, while China does enjoy this type of backing in Asia and allowing it to act as the center of the country within continent and etc. And it is possible these conditions to change over time, but in the short run, can see the China to be the next United States in global power. Until then, global power vacuum may arise, and as long as the political economic mindset of the Western nations remains looking and that non-Western nations remains too weak.
So what is exactly superpowers mean for us? For us, superpowers mean you gotta have the super of the superpower than any other. Any country can be the superpower countries. And who do you think after US?